I'm Lisa Federico, and this is Inside Northwest Columbus. After spending decades in corporate marketing, I traded boardrooms for backyards because the best stories are happening right here at home. Every week, you'll meet entrepreneurs, creatives, and everyday neighbors doing extraordinary things across Worthington and Northwest Columbus. So let's jump into this week's conversation. Welcome to this episode of Inside Northwest Columbus. Today on the show, I am so happy to welcome Tammy and James Cooley. They are the husband-wife team behind Cooley Construction, located right here in Worthington. Whoop, whoop. Woo. Welcome to the show.
Yeah,
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
I love your backstory. Love. So you're from Worthington.
Yes.
You've been here for quite some time.
Yes.
Take me through the evolution of how Cooley Construction came to be.
Yeah. So, it's been a lot of learning to get here, as I feel like many small businesses come to be. James and I, we actually started off in real estate investing, and we used to not only invest in our own properties for our own rental portfolios, but we used to flip homes, and we had a lot of fun doing that. But we learned that we wanted something more from the process, and that more that I'm referring to really means more creativity and more opportunities to connect with people. Yeah. When we flipped, first of all, there was never a budget to be creative like we wanted to be, right?
There never is. Well,
no, that's not, and not in today's market, right? And so so that kind of took the fun out of it, but also you create these homes and then you sell them and you don't know who the buyers are. And that's fine. That's the process. But there's just no connection. It's just very kind of like in and out.
Yeah.
Get it done, get out.
Right.
And
you're really designing for a buyer, not a person.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're trying to design for the masses of what
that's
they're
right.
gonna like.
And so then, who are you actually making this for? We don't know. And but one of our real estate investing friends referred us to a lovely couple in Dublin, and they wanted a whole first floor refresh, not even a refresh, just a redo. And we were up for the challenge, and it just couldn't have worked out better. I mean, we got two wonderful friends out of it, great experience, and we realized what we really wanted to do with this construction talent that James brings to the equation.
Yeah, that was our first client project, and I remember talking to Tammy about it. I was very excited at the opportunity because with their ideas and their finishes, I just got the idea like this is going to be cool. There's a lot of details.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like passion behind the project, and like I wanted to work on things like that, and like the experience of working with people and just seeing them light up when we talked about what we're gonna tear this down and we're gonna move these walls around and we're gonna give you everything that you wanted. I was really excited. Tammy helped me to slow down a little bit because we had actually never worked with a client before
In their home.
Home.
That's different.
It is completely different, and I had to reorient. The work is never the issue. For me, it's about whether it's myself self-performing the work or bringing in the right subcontractors to help us to perform the work. It's about the service and being process oriented and remembering that now that we are out of investing in properties where it is a little faceless. We don't necessarily have an end user in mind.
Right.
It's a vacant home.
No
one's living there.
Right.
The schedule is the schedule that I set. But when we work with homeowners, there's a lot of discussions around, working within their space. They are inviting us in. We are guests in their home.
To their special place.
And there's a lot of trust that I didn't necessarily realize just how much trust we were being given by letting us into the home. But Tammy really has been, the brains and the force behind us developing our process for remodeling and working with homeowners.
Yeah. Okay. Hard stop, because I have to ask the question. Many of us at home or our listeners are thinking, oh my God, I could not work with my spouse. But it seems like the two of you just kind of totally mesh together.
Oh, it does?
What's it
Oh,
like?
it does.
Oh, good.
At least here in the studio.
Yeah.
On camera.
But what's it like working together like every day like that? There's part of me that says, yeah, Brian and I could work together. And there's another part of me that's like, oh my God, I might choke him. What's
Yeah.
it like?
Right. Well, it does,
That's about right.
does depend on the day. It
does
kind of
depend on the
oscillate
day.
a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll take this real quick. So for
Yeah, I want to hear what you have to say.
and
I want to hear this too.
I'll let you kind of to wrap it up and put the bow on this, and let me know if I'm speaking out of turn on any of this. Working together as like a husband and wife team was something that we never really put a lot of thought into. We just naturally have always been partners.
Yeah.
Tammy used to own a pole dance and aerial art studio in Clintonville before selling it back in 2022. And up till that point, the only entrepreneur, really like in our between us was Tammy. I mean, she was running a business, serving clients, and being out there. She's out in the public talking to people about her business. And so I've always been around. We've always been working together. But now that we had entered into this relationship of remodeling homes and started Cooley Construction.
Talk about a stress test.
We kind of stumbled into like, we aren't communicating, like the communication required for us to work on a team, not just me supporting my wife who owned just a kick-ass business with her old business partner. We actually had to start to work together. I wasn't just like, oh yeah, I'll stop by and I'll help you sweep up.
It's a different way of
Yes.
communicating when you work together versus the relationship side of the house.
Right.
Yeah. It's tough because during the work day, or I mean, when you wake up in the morning, it's like, are we working right now, or are we our work selves, or are we our romantic partner selves or life partner selves? And because so much of the work does happen in our very own home, it is really hard to differentiate that. And so when stuff's going down, it's hard to compartmentalize and be like, I'm just being my business self right now, and I will get back to you later.
Could you email me about that?
Yeah,
what are the things that you argue about on the job? Like your work selves, right? For me and my husband, for example, we don't always agree on decorating or on where something should be. So I'm curious, when you're working together, what are the common arguments that you have, or the common words that you exchange?
Well,
where to start?
Where do I start? No, I'm just kidding. I guess what comes to mind is I love and adore control and communication. I love it. And I can't get enough of it. I've had to relinquish a lot of control and understand what I can control, what I can't. But the things that I can't control still do affect me and other parts of the business. And so I do go to you a lot with I need updates on this, and I think maybe the rapidity with which I want answers might be a little faster than the rate at which you want to provide them.
Dial up, high speed.
Yes.
Perfect.
Internet-wise.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah. But we've always been working together, even back in our days as cancer researchers in the lab. He's the one who taught me how to culture prostate cancer cells and everything. And so I've always been learning from him. We work together on.
I forgot about that.
Completing. I know. And I was like, man, we used to have it so
Different
down,
lives.
with the assays, we would be whipping up our qPCR assays, and we'd just be doing our own thing, and we'd be passing the pipette tips back and forth when we needed we were very in sync. And so I think getting into this with him, it's always been natural to partner with him. But I know that we can work so well together. When we are in flow together, it really is brilliant and it feels awesome.
Got to be very rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been the stress test of our life, though, right? Because this is a totally new, not totally, I mean, we've been around for a couple of years now.
Right.
But these are a new set of challenges that our, prior experiences, although we've worked together with them, through them, have not presented. And so now we get to really beef up our skill set of working together in a new way.
Yeah. And what's so interesting, too, is when we had chatted earlier, we were talking about how remodeling is a project. I mean, you know this, right? Yeah. And anyone who's remodeled knows this. But a lot of times it's a checklist, right? Like you got to pick this out, you got to pick that out. It's, 1, 2, 3, here's how it goes. But I love that you are bringing in a whole new element for the design component and the experience that a client puts together. I want you to tell the story of when you remodeled your home here in Worthington and the reason why this experience is so important to you. I find it fascinating, and having gone through it myself, I totally agree with you. I hadn't remodeled before, and I was kind of told, okay, here's what we're going to do, and this is the process, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to blow that wall out, and okay, we'll give you more room. But the other flip side of it is sometimes the client is like, yeah, this room is just too small. We need to make it bigger, and that's all you get. And so then they run with it. But talk a little bit, tell me that story again. I'd love for our listeners to hear it because I think it really brings home how you are a little bit different than other remodelers in this community.
Yeah, well, yeah. So a few years ago, we moved into our Worthington home, which we love. But when we moved into her, it was a little dated and not aesthetically us. And we were also prioritizing remodeling a different portion of the home, which we were going to have as a mother-in-law suite. So that was that part of the home. And then we looked at our side of the home and we were like, dang, we need to change this up too, because we want to like what we're looking at. And so we brought in a general contractor at that time and did not totally understand the assignment because they didn't necessarily take us through all that, what to expect. There wasn't really the expectation setting, the communication of what lies ahead. And kind of there was no real like heads up of the invasiveness that happens when
all the things you don't know
remodel,
when you
right?
remodel when you haven't done it.
Yeah. When we're at the beginning of the remodel process, of course, you're going through your vision and what you want the place to look and feel like, or at least what you think you want the place to look and feel like, right? But then the actually getting through it can be jarring, right? Especially if you're not given a heads up. And because you don't do this every day. At that point, when we entered into the remodel, we were still familiar with construction, but at that point, we were flipping homes. We were working with unoccupied, vacant homes where we didn't have homeowners to consider, and so in that case, we were the homeowners, and we were welcoming someone into our space, and I think it was distressing at points. We're happy with the end result, but to get there, the journey was distressing because of a few reasons. There was not really great communication on what to expect, like I've been kind of saying, but also even like when the trades were going to be showing up, we didn't really know, and that was just so that we could actually plan ahead. That if that discussion didn't happen, it was kind of impossible to. And just there was a lot of details that were missed because we didn't, there was not the planning ahead part before the construction started to make sure that all of these details were captured. And so we learned firsthand how important it is to have a really good, strong highway of communication with your GC. And if there is a designer on the team, then the designer as well. Kind of know what those expectations are, know their working hours, like how's this going to look and feel for us in the home, and then being asked questions. I don't know that we were asked, very many questions to like check in, like, are we going in the right direction? Is this what you want? What about this, this, and this? And so it was very like we went through the process just kind of shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
And anyone who knows me knows that is not a good situation for a Tammy to shoot from the hip. And I think that's partly why I just so hammer home the planning and the client experience part of this.
Right.
Because I think one of the greatest gifts you can give people, doesn't matter if you're working in their home, just across the board when you're working with people, is if you can give them peace of mind and confidence, then you get so much. so much easier to be happy and creative and look forward to that end goal and just feel so excited for it if you don't have that crap of like wondering what's going on and because it's very palpable the lack of control you have in this process once it gets started.
Especially when you're living in the home.
Yes.
Too, because that's
a whole other challenge.
Yeah, that is a whole other challenge. Before we get back to the conversation, I want to give you a preview of what's ahead. April is our investments issue, and we are expanding that idea beyond dollars and cents. We're talking about the investments that shape your future, your health, your home, your relationships, your business, and yes, your finances. In April, we'll be sitting down with local experts and leaders who understand that the right decisions today compound over time. If you're thinking about what's next and how to build wisely, make sure you're subscribed. You'll find the full investment issue waiting for you in the show notes. Talk with me a little bit about how you consult with your clients. We talk about, and we featured Cooley Construction in our May women's issue, but you talk about this feminine energy that you bring to the table, meaning that, right, you're trying to pull out from your clients, right, what it is they really want versus sometimes what they say what they want and they really want can be two different things.
Right.
So talk with my listeners a little bit about how you approach the project, and you talk a lot about communication. What does that really, really mean?
I'll go first, and then I'd love for you to chime in too. But for me, really applying more of a consultative approach is so important. I have a strong sales background in life science sales, and it was so important to never assume that you knew what the client wanted. And in fact, we've got to just hear it straight from them. So it starts with a real discovery mindset. And like I said, not assuming that we know what they want, but rather uncovering what they want through a set of important discovery questions and digging deep. Because it's really not just about, I want my kitchen to look better. It's never about that. Families use their kitchens in a wide variety of ways. And we can't assume that just because in our experience, we use our kitchen one way, that another family is going to use it in the same way. And so it's really about applying a very consultative, discovery-first mindset that puts the client first and create space for them to truly communicate what it is they're after, but also helping them know what they're after. Because when we go into a remodel, clients don't always have the vocabulary to express what it is they want. And so that's also the big point of asking them important questions to help them uncover for themselves, what is it that I'm actually wanting? What is it that I actually want to feel as a result of the work being done to this space? And so I guess it's really just more about putting the client first in a very genuine way that goes beyond just being transactional, because anyone can do that.
Well, and I kind of equate it to when I was managing a creative team, right? You needed somebody to be able to speak the language with them, to be able to get what the client wanted.
Yeah, to translate it.
But it sounds like here, too, there's a little bit of psychology in it, because maybe your clients don't know how to talk with you about what they really want. Like you said, they don't have the vocabulary. So sounds like you're asking them the kinds of questions so that you can really hone in on what the space needs to be to meet their specific needs.
Yeah, help them get clear on what it is they want. Because when there's clarity, then we can make a plan.
Yep.
And then James can come in and make it actually happen, right?
It helps.
A lot.
Yeah. And when you are communicating the plans, right, it's not just a one-time communication, right?
Yeah.
So do you do weekly check-ins, daily check? Like how does all that
we're checking
together?
in. Yeah.
A few times.
So the one of our main ways of staying engaged with clients is through just keeping kind of an open door policy for me. That might not mean like I'll pick up the phone call immediately, if they reach out to me, but we do get back to clients in a timely manner. When even if I just had to say like, hey, I've acknowledged, is everything okay? And I might just check in with them like, is this a today, like a right now I can call you, or can I manage the schedule and get back to you a little later? So that's one way we communicate with clients. The other way is at the end of every week. At the end of every week, we're shooting for progress because we want to make sure that the project is getting done in the timeline that we've established with our clients in the beginning. Typically, a week is a really good working time for us to make progress in certain areas of a home. And I summarize what do we get done, what roadblocks we might be running into and we might need to have further discussions about, and what to expect next week. So on Monday, let's say they're living in the home. On Monday, like how many is it going to be 10 people in the house, or will there be nobody because we're waiting on some flooring to be delivered and
Right.
It's going to be a quiet day. I like to try to let them know so they can plan around that. In some instances, homeowners do vacate the home because the work might be so invasive that it's not practical or safe for them to remain there.
It's just good for everyone's mental health.
It's just good for everybody's mental health. Some people want to be troopers. They're like, oh, no, we'll be fine.
Don't be like us.
And that's where I try to explain to them of like what to experience, because I've had personal experience with that, like trying to live through a home that was being, worked on to the extent to which we, had to work. Our scope creeped like a lot of people. Originally, it was going to be a portion of the home that we were going to work on. And as we peeled back layers, like, well, why not? How about we just...
I definitely forgot to add that when you asked me about our
scope creep.
Our reno experience, and that was that we were naive in thinking that we were going to be able to live through a full-blown gut renovation. Oh, we were wrong. We were so wrong.
Very wrong.
Yeah, but how would you know? You hadn't done it before.
That's right.
Exactly.
No one told us not to do that.
I got to think, too, because there really wasn't a plan in place
No.
where they kept you like, here's what's going to happen this week and next week.
Yeah.
That probably led to more scope creep because you didn't know what you didn't know, and then you started seeing things. And
we got emotional.
You got very emotional.
Yeah, it's your home.
Because it's like second to actually purchasing your home, this is probably the next biggest investment you're going to make on your home or in your life. And it's also the most invasive. And things can get emotional quickly. When things get emotional, it's very hard to make good decisions that stay in line with your ultimate mission and your budget and the timeline.
Yep.
Right. And so what happened in this example? Like, I know you were living in the home, right, while it was being renovated, but talk a little bit about, like, maybe there's people out there who are thinking, yeah, we'll just tough it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk through your experience so they get a feel for what you went through.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk a little bit about this. I'm a big guy. I'm tough. I've done construction before. Very tough. What I didn't realize was just how much of a sanctuary or like a space your home really is. Like, you get off work, the last thing you want to come home to is like surprises, unknowns, a leak on the floor. The house itself is already in a state of change, and but to live through that for weeks on end, it gets tiring. And we eventually made the decision to move out of the home and into an Airbnb. And at that point, we felt very transient, unconnected. It caused a lot of, I didn't think about just the emotional stress that comes with, like, I don't know, not just coming home, jumping on the couch, laying down, taking a nap, or like watching a show with your...
Right.
Those everyday comforts that
everyday
help
comforts.
You to decompress from the day. You don't have that in a house that is down to the studs.
Yeah. And expand that, out for weeks at a time. And that compounded factor of stress and a lack of safety can create safety in the sense of, like, I just want to come home and nobody bug me.
Right.
You want to unwind. Like, you don't have that when your home is being, remodeled on that.
In a construction
when
zone.
you're living in there. So, I think everybody in the beginning might be able to tough it out. Most of us can. Most of us can handle a certain amount of distress or discomfort.
Right, for a short amount of time.
But if this is a chronic
But do you
issue,
need to, though?
yeah, I think most people can get through like a couple days of like some sort of acute stress or impact to their lives. But chronically exposing yourself to this small level of discomfort every single day, day in and day out, and you're writing checks at the same time, and you're waiting to receive maybe some updates, or you might have some apprehensions about like, the work being done because of the lack of communication. You compound all that into your daily life, and you got a really grumpy.
And you're just a ray of sunshine.
Yeah, just a ray of sunshine. I was not probably very pleasant to be around.
Also, our cats were a little traumatized.
That's the part we care about the most.
Well, yeah, I guess you don't really think about that, right? They're not used to having all this.
We only had 2 at the time, but they're both traumatized.
Yep.
Miriam's never been the same.
Poor things.
But yeah, just because we did become transient for about a month there.
Right.
And we were kind of Airbnb hopping, and then luckily his mom's Airbnb was available for a chunk of time. So it definitely is very helpful to have friends and family and their support during this time, which we didn't realize the type of support we would need during
that. Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you recommend, if you're doing a major remodel, you recommend that you have the homeowners
Sometimes it's
leave.
almost required, for safety.
Depending on the scope,
depending on the scope.
Pervasiveness of the scope in the home, certainly if it's a whole home remodel or, kitchen and major zone remodels, then we do recommend for as long as possible, but at least for a time, to budget in or find housing elsewhere. Right. So if you hopefully have like friends or family that will let you stay there for a bit of time, that's perfect. But, if it is an Airbnb situation, do factor that into your budget.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And don't, because it's no fun to make that decision in the middle of construction and be like, Uncle, I can't actually handle that. Right. We're going to pack up the few things that we can take, and then go off of like what Airbnbs are available like now, because then prices are increased and available. You have to jump around. It just is not fun.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's one of those things that's important to think about in the planning.
Yeah. So what do you recommend for someone maybe who's never been through this, right? Talk us through what are the things that you want to do, right, from a homeowner standpoint to ensure, right, that you've got a successful outcome?
Well,
besides hiring Cooley.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
besides that.
No, I think the number one way for clients to ensure a successful project and for them to get an outcome that they are hoping for or dreaming of is by putting together the right team and spending a lot of time upfront planning and going through the details, because when you're in the middle of a project, making decisions there, sometimes the outcomes are not what you want, and you might have actually done something differently if given enough time, or if you would have been able to plan that out earlier on. So for us, we spend a lot of time with clients, bringing them into the process, asking them a lot of discovery questions, pulling out the information, because they might not have the vocabulary to describe what it is they want.
Yep.
So that's where we come in as, trusted partners, collaborators, whatever you want to call it, to come in and help clients to go through those ideas. They might have a vision. Some clients we've actually ran into, and they have a perfect, but they know exactly what they want.
Storyboards.
We're working with a client right now, and she had invited the neighborhood over, and they bought the home, and they had taped up different versions of their kitchen, different elements they wanted to do to their home all around the house, and they gave everyone stickers. And as they went through the home, they kind of,
it's
like a peer review.
Yeah, kind of like they
a community event.
They they're the kind of clients that really come to us with a lot of ideas, and those are great clients to have. But we also enjoy working with clients that might not know where to get started. It might just be a Pinterest photo
and need a little guidance. But that's where we really excel in being a partner and helping people to work through those questions. We're not here to tell you how your house should look. Like, we want to understand what we can do to help
enable you to come up and dream and have fun,
Right.
during the process. Nobody walks into a renovation. Typically, people are planning and they've wanted to do something for a while, and we want to make that process enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that's important for homeowners to know when they're considering starting a remodel is it's as much as possible, it's very helpful to kind of know yourself, and then if you're in a partnership, how each person likes to make decisions. That's something that we also like to try to figure out and learn about from our clients, because decisions will need to be made. We're going to be hitting pivot points all the time. And some people are much more visual, and some people are more audio, and everyone is on a spectrum. And so knowing yourself first and foremost is really important. It makes everything a little bit easier. Because then when we tell them what to expect, I think it's just that much easier to play the tape forward and put yourself in your future use shoes, to understand what could be to come, and how we might navigate certain things because it's going to get ugly before it gets pretty again.
Right. It's just the nature of the beast, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And that's part of transformation. It's part of change. And I think it's really good to know about yourself and how you handle change.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because even in a relationship, two people might handle change very differently, just like they handle making decisions very differently.
Right.
And so how do you deal when you have clients who can't make a decision, or, husband wants A and wife wants B? How do you play mediator and make all that happen?
Well,
that's magic right there.
It's a dance, right? And it's putting the client first, right? Listening to both of them first before projecting any of our assumptions or anything. They're leading the way. But I would also say another important piece of resolving any issues like that, it can be very helpful to lean on our design partners too, right? To help resolve some of those discrepancies. But it's always putting on our listening cap first and hearing what is it that ultimately these two sides want. What are they actually saying?
Right, before you start solutioning.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because what we don't want to do is make the wrong assumption that then only makes kind of one person happy and then the other person not feel exactly heard and whatnot. So it is very much a dance, but it's listening to them first.
Yeah.
And then coming up with a thoughtful solution using the people on the team, right? And not just being like, I know,
right,
and then just marching forward and not checking in, right? We love checking in with the clients, and
even after they say that that they're good. I still like to make space for people, but some people are, maybe it's the Midwest nice thing, but they might be a little apprehensive sometimes, because they might look at me and I'm like, we are in the field and things are moving, and they don't want to jump in front of a moving train, so to speak, because things are moving. But I do like to pause and just give them an option to hey, I know we had a really intense discussion yesterday about whether you want the pendant here or here, but I just want to make sure that we're good. Did you guys have a chance to speak a little bit more, or are we good to proceed? Because the last thing I want to do is, we'll always make it right. I mean, obviously, we're getting confirmation that this is what they want. But if I do feel some hesitancy, and this comes with a little experience and
reading the room
and listening mostly, if I do feel a sense of hesitancy, and they made a decision, I might still check back with them, whether it's in that weekly email. Just wanted to give another opportunity. We're on the same page with X. And they might confirm, or they're like, "Hey, can I give you a call?" Yeah, that's usually how it starts. Like, "Hey, can I give you a quick call?" And we'll talk through and work through that stuff. But I'm happy to do it, because at the end of the day, they are going to be delighted. They are going to want to talk about us. I'm going to have a really positive experience. I just like making people happy, when it comes to
really does. Yeah.
working in their homes and all that trust they're putting in us. So
I was going to add one thing too. Sometimes when clients are, and they're in a partnership and they're having a tough time deciding on something or whatnot, sometimes it is helpful just to talk to them separately. Because, and we run into this too, like when we're trying to do stuff together, sometimes because you become very sensitive to each other's energies, you know? Yeah, a little sensitive to each other's energies. And that can kind of cloud your judgment or your, even if we're creating space for them simultaneously in the moment, they may still need to be separated from each other in order to think clearly in some cases. And so during some of our like even in-home consultations, if we're feeling a little bit of, I don't know, just tension or something, I might just off to the side ask someone directly, hey, what are you really thinking about? Or what's most important to you? Or as a result of this project, what are you hoping to achieve? What are you most concerned about? And it's almost like creating a little micro safe space to really hear. Sometimes, honestly, like when you were asking us earlier, what is it like to work with each other? Sometimes we need to be separate from each other, right? To think straight and to really feel like we can be heard, because our energies together sometimes can be a little bit of like a wildfire. And so it's just about knowing, how to work with people based on like what you're learning from them in that moment.
No, and I kind of get what you're saying. I guess I just never realized how much psychology is behind working with the client, because you really are reading the room. You can tell when one of them is not comfortable, and then understanding like, okay, why and how do you? That's just
I didn't realize how much.
I never thought about.
I didn't realize how much psychology was involved until I was just telling you all this too. This is news to me, actually, now that I think about it.
Didn't get the magazine at home? No problem. You can read it for free by signing up for our digital issues. Just head to the link in the show notes. And hey, if you're just listening to this episode, did you know that you can watch it too? Catch the full video on YouTube using the link below. You both mentioned having like a team, right? And you mentioned your supporting partners. Talk a little bit about, because I know that you work with designers. There's a role for the designer. There's a role for an architect. And then obviously the people who actually do the work. But you are able to tailor that designer, right, to the needs of the clients that you have been psychologically working with to try to bring out, right, what it is they really want. Talk a little bit about the role of those and how they support you.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's so many fantastic designers here
We have a lot in Columbus.
Yeah. And it's almost impossible to choose. That there's so many talented designers, and we have been really enjoying meeting a lot of them and just learning about them. And everyone that we bring to the table has different strong suits, right? And some of them have like preferential types of projects that they like to work on, or and some of them may be, better at one thing versus another, or they enjoy working with clients of this type or mindset versus another. And so it's a lot about learning about not only the clients, like I've been kind of hammering home, learning about them, but learning about our design partners as well, what makes them shine.
Yeah.
And then kind of matchmaking from there.
Right. And you work with several so that you can be the matchmaker, if you will.
Yeah.
The role of the designer is what? Just to help my readers and my viewers and my listeners.
Yeah.
What's the role that you play versus the role that the designer plays?
Yes. Both are
some
very
do it
important.
all, right?
That's right. Yeah. It happens.
Yeah, so there are some. There's some companies that are what we call design build. So they typically have the design process in house. That gives them a certain level of control over curating an experience for the client that's very repeatable for them and scalable. For us, where we're at, we've prioritized developing and building out our build process while partnering and finding designers to help us to execute, the client's vision. So we use designers, or clients will bring in a designer sometimes, or we will recommend one. and they're there to help us re-envision the space when a client might not know. Let's say I was at a client's home this morning, actually, in Upper Arlington, and they had purchased a home a few years ago, and the layout of the house is a little chopped up. The previous owners had made an addition to it, updated it, and it's hard to really see because his family is growing, and in order to accommodate that and stay in their home, they love the area, they want to stay there.
Yeah.
I couldn't, outside of saying like, yeah, it's possible, really help him to envision what the space might look like. So we bring in designers to help. They've redesigned so many different shapes and sizes of homes. Like you tell me what to build, I can build it. The skills are not necessarily the issue, but having a really deep bench of working knowledge on, like, I've worked in a home similar to this, UA style home, 1940s, Cape Cod, and it's got a little addition, but they did it in a way that's not functional for today's, life or his family size.
But the designer can help bring all of that, bring your ideas and their ideas into like an illustration for somebody who needs to see a picture.
Absolutely.
Designers are essential for helping clients with the thousands of decisions you didn't even know
we're not kidding.
Existed.
It can be 1,000.
You did not know those existed, actually, right? And we need to know that in order to make their vision come to life, but also to give them an accurate estimate for planning purposes.
Right.
Yep.
So things like, for example, and I'll ask these questions, like if we're working with a potential client that is on the fence about using a designer, just to help illustrate some of the decisions that need to be made. We'll be like, okay, well, talk to us about the tile that you want. Not just about the tile. How do you want it set? What's the pattern? Mm-hmm. What grout color do you want? What grout thickness do you want? What type of sink do you want?
What kind of transitions do you want?
Right.
Do you want Schluter or do you want pencil? Your floor, like,
how big's your niche?
And then
how high do you want your head?
We have this transition.
I'm getting anxious.
Yeah.
So, exactly. And
but a designer will pull all that together for them,
and
so they can see it and make those decisions.
Yes.
And they'll help clients make those decisions with confidence. Because certainly these clients, you can make these decisions on your own, and you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the tile
Pinterest
providers,
loves when you scroll.
and you can go through Wayfair and everything, and you can confuse yourself and then not even be sure about the decision that you actually made. But the point is about having the right design partner guide you through those decisions so that you can remain excited and creative and just looking forward to the end result, keeping your eye on the prize. Because like I said, it's going to get uglier before it gets pretty again. But we've got to remain confident in our decisions and leaning on a subject matter expert like a designer who is not only good about helping people make those decisions, providing the options that are best fit for them after they have learned about the client, but honestly, a little bit of the therapy too. Like it's all emotional. The designer and the builder do carry a bit of that emotional load, I feel like, for clients. And it's important to have both of us guiding them in lockstep on these decisions.
And I think, too, that because you work with so many different designers that you have a relationship with, but it's not like you're working with the same two designers for everything, so that everything is a reflection of their talent. You can bring in a bunch of different talents so that the clients, get what they really want.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, this has been such a pleasure.
It's been fun.
It's been so great to get to know you. I love the work that you're doing. Your work is just beautiful. Where can people get more information about you?
Oh, gosh. Well, you could go to our website.
Yep.
www.buildwithcooley.com. You can visit us on Instagram, cooley.construction. Or you will likely see me at Kitty's in Worthington, because that's usually where I am.
We were just there earlier today. So.
That's where this coffee's from. So you'll definitely see us about town, but you'll also see us online on our website, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and
we will have all those links for you in the show notes. So please check back there. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right,
you guys are great guests.
Appreciate it.
A lot of
Thank
fun.
You.
It's fun.
that is going to conclude this edition of Inside Northwest Columbus. Please join us next week. All week, all month, I should say, we are focusing on our women's issues. So we have lots of guests that are doing amazing things in our community. So check back next week. Take care.
Awesome.
Boxland Media. Think big.